Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to a Sims 4 speedrunning video, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. So in today's video I'm going to build in the world of Windenburg, which is the world that we got from the expansion pack that Sims 4 Get Together, and I'm going to be building a huge, and when I say huge, it's absolutely massive, Tudor family mansion. So first things first, before I get in and I start yapping anything and everything about this speed build, I just wanted to wish you all a happy new year. Probably one of the most belated Happy New Year wishes that you're going to get, because it's February and surprisingly this is my first upload of 2025. Now if you watch my video before this one, like my last video, hang on, what? That's not English. Do you want? I'm gonna be honest with you, babe. I ain't sat down and done a voiceover in like 6 weeks, so I'm a little bit rusty. But if you watched my previous video, you would have heard that I was taking some time off over Christmas. This year, my brother came home for the Christmas period, which, for a little bit of context, he lives in Canada and I live in England, so I don't really get to see him that much. And instead of worrying about stressing for content and, you know, trying to pump a video out, which I never want to do and I never do that, I thought I'm just going to take a little bit of time away and, you know, just spend some time with my family over that time. And I did, and it was lovely. But then at the very start of this year, I just had some personal things happen to me. Did make a community post about it because I didn't want anyone wondering where I'd gone. I just, you know, I didn't want to keep you in the dark, and so I did post something on my community tab. But I just had some things happen in my personal life at the start of the new year, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to take some time to go through it, and I did. And I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has just bared with me, because I can appreciate I've been gone for 6 weeks. Like, where are you? Where have you been? But I am just so appreciative that, yeah, you have kind of just like bared with me during this time. But either way, I'm back now, and I'm so excited, and just so, there is so much that we need to talk about, honestly. I hope you've got yourself a cup of tea and a snack, and just, and a big cup of tea at that one, because this video is a long one. But we've just got so much to talk about and to dive into. There has been so many different DLC releases in the past like 2-3 weeks alone, and then alongside that, yesterday The Sims announced that we're getting a new expansion pack and the trailer dropped. The Sims 4 Hobbies and Business, or Business and Hobbies, can't remember which way around it is, but we're getting a new expansion pack. And then also we had a massive base game update, and The Sims turned 25 years old. So we've got a lot to yap about. And so yeah, I really do hope you've got yourself a big cup of tea, because alongside all of that, I also am just so excited to talk about this build and just share it with you, because I think that this build is my new favourite build that I have ever done. Now, I know I have said that before about previous builds, but this one is my new favourite. I love it so dearly. Like, every single area of this build. First of all, the structure of it, I was just so chuffed with. Like, when I was building the structure for this one, I didn't use a reference image. I just basically had this idea in my head. Like, I can vision a Tudor house and it being a little bit like zigzaggy. I wanted there to be kind of like a driveway portion on the left hand side, but then kind of like a courtyard section on the right hand side. And yeah, the structure alone I'm just so proud of. But then also the landscaping and all the different like little features, the outbuildings, and then also like the interior furnishing, just everything about this build I'm just absolutely obsessed with. And also the back garden as well. You can see that I've now moved over to like the back section of the build. I end up placing down some like lovely big beautiful windows, and it's just, I just love this build so dearly. And so yeah, I really hope you like it as well. But anyway, moving on from that and actually getting on and talking a little bit more about the build itself. So this house ends up having 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, and it is built on a 64 by 64 lot. Now, where I haven't sat down and built anything structurally in a few weeks now, I have just had this massive itch, almost like an urge, just to build a really big house in the game. I don't know if you ever get that, but just sometimes I just have like, I just really fancy just sitting down and just building really big houses. But when I was taking a little bit of time off, I was working on my save file, and I've been giving more townies makeovers in the game, which, if you're not familiar with what the term townie is, it's basically Sims that already live in the world when you enter a brand new save file. So you know when you get like a new expansion pack or a new game pack and it comes with a world and there's already pre-existing families, they're called townies. And I've been doing a handful of makeovers the past couple of weeks, and one family that I gave a makeover to was the Fyre's family. Now, I am just so obsessed with just everything about this family now that I've given them a makeover, and where I wanted to sit down and just build something really big and really colossal, I thought, well, why don't I sit down and build them a new house? Now, by default, when you enter a brand new save file, this is originally where the family lived. Like, this is originally where they're meant to be in the game. They did have a house. I just decided to delete it. I just put it in the bin because for my save file, if you're familiar, you probably know this already, but I'm basically going through and rebuilding every single lot in the game, whether it be a rebuild for a pre-existing family or building a house for a new family. I'm also doing like the hospitals and police station, and I'm basically giving The Sims 4 a bit of a facelift. But I've been debating for a while whether I should keep the Fyre's family on their original lot, because it's a 64 by 64 and their original house, it's tiny. Honestly, go into your game right now and have a look at it. It's tiny in comparison to how big this house is. And beforehand, where their house was kind of, no offence to whoever built it, but a little bit strange, I just never played with this family. I'd get my Sims to be mates with them. The mum, she's a really good Sim to know because she likes gardening, and you'll see I implemented it into this house. I was very mindful, by the way, when I was like decorating all the different rooms, and I was trying to take into account the different hobbies and skills that these Sims either already had or I wanted them to have in my save. And so she does have like a little gardening section. But I do sometimes get my Sims to be friends with the mum, because if ever you're doing a rags to riches or you just need a gardener and you need someone to tend your plants, if you invite her round, I've found that she will just start tending to my Sims garden, which is really handy. But other than that, I never really seemed to play with this family that much. But then since I gave them a makeover, which by the way, I will show you their makeover in this video, I'll give you like a little screenshot preview of kind of like how they look. Right, I've already taken them because I knew I was going to bring it up, but I'll show you how the family looks, but then I'll also show you the individual Sims as well. I'll show you that when I actually talk about their backstory and stuff. But once I gave them this makeover, and then I started assigning them different likes and dislikes and hobbies and skills and stuff, I'm now so obsessed with this family, and I actually just want to play with them like right now. I could, but I'm not going to because I want to save that for my save file. But now I gave them a makeover. I expanded on their lore, their backstory. I've got some things that I'm in two minds about, and so I'm going to ask your opinions in a bit, whether you think I should do it or not. But basically, I built this house for them, and I love it so much. I keep on saying how much I love it. Honestly, this is my new favourite build, and I know how proud I am of it because I have literally shown anyone and everyone who will listen to me the past week this build. Like, I've been showing my mum, my dad, my friends, everyone I know, even like my brother's girlfriend. I showed her because I was just so proud of it. But anyway, I'm going to stop yapping about how proud I am of this house. Sorry if it's a little bit too much, but I'm so excited, and all the people that I've shown to, they can appreciate it, but I'm just really excited to show you. I'm just really excited just to share everything about this build with you. And so moving over from that and actually getting on and talking a little bit more about the house itself, and also what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I've already come in and figured out the wallpaper I wanted to use. I've done some windows and doors, and then also kind of like the roof placement. I do end up jigging the roof around a little bit on one side of the house because for this family in particular, there is a teenager in the household. Like I said, I will get on and talk about them, but they're kind of a little bit of a rebel, but not really a rebel. She's actually a really lovely Sim if you get to know her. Why do I sound like someone's mum who's trying to convince you to date their son that might have like bad tendencies or something? But there is a Sim that could be a little bit rebellious in this household, and I basically wanted to give her the option of, if she wanted to be able to sneak out of her bedroom window or sneak out of her bedroom balcony of an evening and run off to a party. And so you'll see me rejig that about shortly, but currently, as you can see, I'm coming in and figuring out the floor plan for this build. Now, even though this house it's huge, like we've established it's a big build, the floor plan was actually so easy. Like, it came together really seamlessly. The way that I did the staircase, by the way, if you was confused by it, I basically decided to put some platforms down and then put stairs up to the platforms and then put another set of stairs on it. I know it probably seems like a little bit of a long-winded way of doing kind of like a grand staircase in the build, but basically I didn't want the inside staircase to be like really small and not really that extravagant. Where it is such a big house, I wanted the entrance hallway to kind of reflect on what the exterior looked like as well. And I knew that I wanted to have two double width staircases. But sometimes when you put down a staircase and then on the upper level, it will kind of like delete a little bit of the floor. I couldn't do the staircase in the normal configuration because it was deleting some of the upstairs space. But if you make a platform and then put stairs on the platform and then attach another set of stairs, then you can do it. Hopefully that's easy to follow along with, but either way, as you can see, I'm now figuring out the upstairs floor plan. The whole back right hand side of this house ends up being kind of like Siobhan's wing. Siobhan is one of the Sims that lives in this house. She is the young adult, and I have decided to make her kind of like the it girl of Windenburg. I mean, to be fair, the Sims team, I think their impression of her was meant to be something like that, but with her makeover and kind of like the hobbies and skills that she's going to have in my save file, yeah, I've just kind of like expanded on it. I imagine she is, you know, the term daddy's girl. Like, I imagine anything that she wanted growing up, she would just ask and, you know, she would just get. And so, yeah, I imagine that she asked for a massive bedroom with a walk-in wardrobe, basically the whole back right wing of the house, and she got it. But either way, besides the point, moving over. As you can see, I'm currently coming in now and finishing up the balcony for the somewhat rebellious teenager. Now, this teenager, I say somewhat because by default, you look at her and you think you're going to be up to trouble. She's actually not naughty. Like, she's actually a really lovely sim, like I said. Like, her original traits when you enter a brand new save file is that she's outgoing and also good. I did decide to remove the good trait, not because I don't think she's a very nice person, but because I decided to give her a different trait, which is party animal. It just fits her vibe a little bit more. But yeah, I wanted there to be a space for if you wanted to and you wanted to get her to sneak out of an evening, even though I don't think she would, she can sneak out of that balcony. I was playing around with placing down windows, the ones that we got from the high school years expansion pack. Your Sims can basically lift them up, climb out of them, and, you know, pop off and they can go wherever they want. I did play around with them, but the windows were so different to the rest of the windows that I'd use elsewhere in the build. And so instead of that, I decided I'm going to make it so you just got some like French patio doors, lead out to a nice little balcony. I do end up placing down like a little telescope out there, but the main reason why it's there is, yeah, to be honest, just so you can get a teenager to sneak out of an evening. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on back to the exterior, and now this is where I'm starting to come in and figure out how I wanted to landscape this build, just how I wanted kind of like the front driveway portions to look. Now, the house itself is quite big, but then where we're building on a 64 by 64 lot, which is the biggest lot type that we've got in the game, I end up filling it out with so many different outbuildings, things to do, like skill building things. One of the things, which you can actually see that I've just built on the left hand side, I decided to make it so this house has, I think the term is Gatehouse. Now, where I wanted this build to be quite fancy, whenever I say the word fancy, I always think of like, not my cup of tea fancy, but I just mean like rich, basically. These Sims, they've got money. But where I wanted to give that impression, kind of like from the get-go, I thought it'd be a really nice addition to add in at some sort of like little gated area by the front entrance. So you can see that I've placed down at some fences and then also a gate. Both the fence and gate, if you're curious, they are from the Vampires game pack. I believe, off memory, they're the biggest ones that we've got in the game so far. We don't really have that many. Well, to be fair, we don't really have that many fences. I was about to say we don't really have that many tall fences, but we don't really have that many fences for a 10-year-old game. But regardless, I use them ones. And then on the left-hand side, you can see I built kind of like a little tiny home. So in there, I tried to make it so there is a window right by kind of like the initial drive up to the build, but I tried to decorate it to be some sort of security measure. So I placed down like a little computer, I placed down like a little mobile phone and different security cameras and stuff. And I'm just thinking, you know, when people, really rich people, have like fancy houses and they have some sort of like little telecom system, this one, for this household, because the family is quite well established, like I said, I will get on and I'll talk to you about it and I'll kind of explain it, but where I was thinking they're so established, they're going to have some sort of security measures in place. And so I thought, or why don't I make it so there's a little like gated guardhouse right by the front entrance. I'm thinking anyone that comes here, whether it be the mailman, pizza delivery guy, Amazon driver, whoever comes to this house, they have to kind of go through almost like a security check to some sort of standard. Of course, in The Sims 4, we can't actually do that. And I must admit, in the inside, I tried to make it seem like there was someone who was going to be guarding the house 24/7. But to be honest with you, I just made it into the butler's room because it was quite handy, because I wanted there to be a guest bedroom on the upstairs level, which could be a guest bedroom, could also be another household member. Like I said, I've got some things to ask you because I'm in two minds about it, but I wanted there to be a space for a butler in this house. And I was thinking, to be fair, the gatehouse, although it's a lovely idea to have some sort of security measure in place, The Sims 4, we can't actually do that. So why don't I make it to look like it's meant to be a gated guard area, but it is actually just like a little bedroom for the butler. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I'm now coming in and start building the horses stables. Honestly, I've just been yapping so much for the past 15 minutes about I don't even know what, that I forgot to give you a little bit of an overview for everything that is in and around the exterior of his house. But yeah, there is some horses stables, and that's what I'm currently building. There does also end up being a basketball court, and then also like a little greenhouse and other random little bits and bobs, but I suppose we'll get onto that when we get onto that. But currently I'm trying to figure out how to make a horses stables look somewhat Tudor, because the thing is, when it comes down to building stables in the game, it's not my forte. I'm not a horse person. I've never been a horse person. At one point I tried to go through a phase where I thought I liked horses, but if I'm being honest, they actually scare me. I think it's just because I've never been around them, and so because of that, I haven't actually got an irrational fear of horses. I've got a rational fear of spiders, that one. Yeah, but not horses. It's just, they freak me out. They're just so big. Like, why are you... Then actually, to be fair, saying that, there is also a lot of other really big animals. But you don't stand in a field next to like a rhino, or so. This is completely besides the point. Either way, I'm not someone that goes to horses stables, and I'm not familiar with the way that they look. And so when it comes around to building them in the game, I have like 2 or 3 default ones, but I wanted to build ones that kind of look somewhat Tudory. And I mean, I think this looks quite Tudory. Definitely looks quite English. This is kind of like a common-ish English stable, and so yeah, this is a little stable for the horses. There ends up being 2 horse beds, so 2 different hay beds, although for the household I was imagining that they would only have 1 horse, and it was going to be an elder. Now, like I said, I'm building this for the Fyre's family, and one of the Sims that is going to be living in this house is kind of like the it girl of Windenburg. Her name is Siobhan. She kind of gets anything that she wants, and I imagine it's kind of always been that way growing up. I imagine that she would just ask her mum and dad for anything, and they've got so much money, they would just buy it for her or give it to her. And I imagine that when she was younger, when she was like a kid and a teenager, she was really into horse riding. Maybe she had a little bit of a phase, and so her mum and dad decided to build a lovely horse stables for her. I imagine that she entered a few different competitions, earned a few different awards and medals and stuff. I do kind of like reference this in the inside of the stables. I placed down some awards and stuff, and I think I also placed down 1 or potentially 2 awards in her bedroom. But I imagine when she was younger, she was a real horse girly. As she's grown up and she's trying to be a little bit more established in her career, which like I said I'll get onto, but I imagine that she doesn't really care about horses anymore. I mean, she's still gonna have skills in horse riding. I'm gonna make it so she might be like level 6 or something, so she's still got a skill there, but I imagine it's just not top priorities. Like, I imagine when she was younger, she would come home from school and she would, if she's not at a cheerleading lesson, which I also imagine she was in, again, I made reference to this in her bedroom, I placed down like a little cheerleading trophy, but I imagine if she wasn't doing cheerleading after school, she would just go into the stables, you know, like train her horse and stuff. But as she's got older and she's trying to be a little bit of like a corporate girl, she kind of is focused on her careers and doesn't really care too much about horses anymore. I imagine it's probably a scenario where if she's really stressed out and like she's really just, she can't figure out what to do, she's someone that would just be like, all right, I'm going to go horse riding. That will kind of like help clear my mind. I reckon that's the kind of relationship, but she's not all, you know how some people can get with competition. She's not that focused as what she used to be. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, in the horses stables, you can see that I've now moved in and I've actually started decorating them. There does end up being 2 different hay beds, so you can have 2 horses in here. The one on the right hand side is the one that I imagine that the elder horse would stay in. Hopefully once I start decorating them a little bit more, you can kind of see what I mean. But I tried to make sure that the one that the elder horse was staying was a little bit more lived in. So I placed down some hay on the floor that looks like it's a little bit more scattered, whereas in contrast to the other horse stables, it's a little bit more like neat and tidy. I think I also chucked a cobweb in the corner to show that there isn't a horse in there, but you know, it's there if you want a second horse. Maybe you want to adopt a baby horse. What's it called? A foal, I think. But if you want to maybe adopt a horse or something. But yeah, there is 2. I'm only going to have it so there's going to be 1 horse. I haven't actually made the horse yet. I will say it's because I did the makeover before I built this house, and then from the makeover, that's what inspired me to kind of build this house. But yeah, I haven't made the horse yet, and so when I show you like a little picture of the family, there's not going to be a horse there. But when my save file comes out eventually, there will be a little elder horse, bless him. Imagine it's a him, but he will be living in the stables. I did also chuck some poo in there as well to show that he was lived in, and then also on some columns I placed down some ribbons, which I imagine that the horse had like kind of won from previous competitions and stuff, you know, in the younger years and things. But over here, as you can see, I'm now just coming in and pretty much just finishing off the inside of the horse's stables. I was unsure whether I should show the furnishing of it because I have furnished stables before in the past, but for this build, to be honest, I didn't really cut anything out the whole entire video. I think I cut around one hallway, but it was more because I end up going back and kind of like changing one or two things. But other than that, you're literally going to see the whole entire process. And yeah, initially I was debating whether I should include the horses stables because I've built that before and it could be repetitive, but I like the way it turned out. I thought it would look quite lived in, and I like the little details here and there. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on back to the exterior, and now I'm just figuring out how I'm going to have the basketball court to look. Now, I will admit, the basketball court seems like a little bit of a stretch because by default, I don't believe there's anyone in the household that has any skill in fitness. Maybe the mum does off memory, but the dad, I don't know if you've ever seen the dad with his top off. That sounds like a really weird sentence to say. As I was processing them words in my head, I then realised how strange that was going to sound. But if you've ever seen the dad of this house, he's jacked. Like, he's massive. Didn't realise that this man had like an 8-pack underneath him. But surprisingly enough, he does not have any skill in fitness. For my sake, I'm going to make it so he's got some skill in fitness because, you know what I mean, you can't build an 8-pack without having some knowledge in protein and, you know, basketball and, I don't know, treadmills and stuff. And so I did kind of build the basketball court with it in mind that I was going to change a few of their skills to have things in fitness because it just makes sense. For the appearance, for the way that Dominic looks, honestly, he's got like the body of a bodybuilder and somehow he apparently has no knowledge in fitness. It just, the maths just ain't there. Like, you need to have some sort of knowledge. And so I'm going to make it so he's got a skill in fitness. And yeah, I just thought it would be quite nice to have a basketball court. I'm not going to lie to you as well. It is just a really nice space filler in the front garden because, again, I'm building a 64 by 64 lot. There's only so much landscaping a girl can do. And so I thought, nice little basketball court, gets up the fitness. Maybe he invites his mates round. Maybe he throws some hoops. Is that the saying? I don't know. But maybe he invites his friends round and they play basketball on like a Sunday morning or something. I don't know. It was a nice thing to add onto the front driveway. But as well as that, as you can see on the front driveway, I placed down quite a big fountain. The one that I've used is from the Romantic Garden Stuff Pack. Rarely ever use it. But then saying that, I rarely ever have houses to have fountains. I will admit it is a little bit squished in terms of the space in between the hedges and then also the fountain. I don't know if you would have seen, but when I was just fapping about with that area, I kept on getting a live edit car and pretend driving it through. I wasn't doing it because I was playing like Hot Wheels or anything. I was just seeing the space either side of it. A car can get through it. It is a bit tight, but at the end of the day, as The Sims 4, we don't actually have cars, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe if one day we ever did get cars in the game, I would come back and, you know, like rejig the area so it's actually drivable. But yeah, I placed down a little fountain, placed down a little red car in front of it, and there's kind of like this driveway section that wraps around over here where I placed down some more garage doors and then also 2 other cars. In total, I think I placed down 4 cars on this house, but these Sims have got money, do you know what I mean? Like, they would just buy a car without even thinking about it, without even checking their bank account, because they just can. One of the cars that I placed down is meant to be like a sports car. I'm not a massive fan, I've moved over now, but I'm not a massive fan of the grey car that I placed down because it kind of looks a little bit alpha-y rather than maxi to me. Hopefully, you know what I mean if you're someone into like custom content and stuff, but it's the most expensive looking car that we've got in the game, and where I was thinking that this family have got so much money, I just thought, yeah, it would be appropriate. But either way, moving over and actually getting on to talking a little bit more about the storylines of these Sims and why I imagine them to have so much money. So like I said, I'm building for the Fyre's family. You probably already know that by now, but I will pop a picture of what they're originally meant to look like on the screen so you can kind of familiarise yourself with who I am talking about in case I haven't done it already. But then also I'm now going to pop a picture of my makeover for the Fyre's family. Honestly, I'm obsessed with them. I just love them so much. I tried to keep the idea of their original outfits in line with my makeover. Didn't really want to change them too drastically because I still wanted you to be like, oh my god, that's Dominic, you know, if you ever see him out running or whatever, or oh, that's Morgan, you know, I still wanted you to be able to recognise them, but I wanted to kind of, yeah, just update them and stuff. In particular, I am obsessed with Morgan because I changed her hair to have like all these different like feathers in it. I did also go with a similar vibe, like I said, for like her outfit, but I updated it with more up-to-date clothing in the game. The Fyre's family came with the Get Together expansion pack, which was the second expansion pack for The Sims 4. It came out in, I think, like 2015 off memory, potentially 2016, but I think 2015. So the clothes that they were wearing, they were old. And I mean, they're not bad clothes. I will still use them for either their other outfits or maybe dress other Sims in their clothing options. But for me personally, just I was so happy to get rid of their clothes because they just felt so stale. I'd been staring at them in my game for literally the longest time, like literal years, I'm not exaggerating. And yeah, now I'm just so happy they're little makeovers. When I actually get in and I tell you about each individual Sim, I will show you a picture of what they look like now, kind of like closer up in CAS. I'll give you like a full body rundown, a full body outfit rundown, so you can kind of see like what the shoes are saying or what the nails are saying and stuff like that. But when I talk about them as well, I'll also show you a picture of what they're originally meant to look like, just because I think it'll be fun to kind of show the contrast. But starting off with Maura, who is the mum of the household. Now, she is not the breadwinner, but I'm talking about her first because this particular section of the garden, which I'm doing right now, is kind of like Maura's area. This is Maura's courtyard, and it is where she has her greenhouse. Now, this woman, she is lovely. She has really good traits, but then also, like I said, if ever you get her to come around your house, she will just randomly just start helping you out with the gardening. It's like, thank you for that, babe. Don't harvest them though, because I'm saving that for like a rags to riches kind of thing. But yeah, she's just a really nice Sim. She has the traits of outgoing, loves outdoors, and good. And she has the freelance botanist aspiration. She just loves to garden. Now, although I tried to keep the appearance of this house very prim and proper and very polished, I really wanted to have some lines in the grass because in my head, I'm thinking they have someone come around and cut the grass. Like Dominic ain't getting on a sit down lawnmower, he hires someone to do that. And so I did this little like grass effect by layering 2 different terrain paints, and literally in about 10 seconds you're gonna see it disappear. I literally paused and I had to go downstairs and make myself a cup of tea because I was so shocked. See, why did you do that? Why did that happen? I can tell you why. It's because I was doing some more terrain paint over here because I placed down some planters, but then I decided, didn't like that. I wanted to redo it. When I pressed backspace, it then deleted half of the terrain. So you see how I've got the lines in the terrain grass? One of them deleted, but the other one stayed. But then it kind of deemed the other one pointless because I needed to redo it. I redid it off camera. I wasn't going to show you both of them because it's literally just the same thing. But yeah. Either way, moving over, this is Maura's greenhouse. Now, Maura, the mum, she's a lovely Sim, and by default, she has no job. She only has skills in gardening. She's level 9, and so I really wanted to give her kind of like her own little private space. In my head, I'm picturing that she is kind of like a lady of leisure. You know, normally when you have, I'm going to use the term like housewife, someone that doesn't have a job, their partner is normally the breadwinner, they kind of like stay at home, kind of live the life of luxury. Maura has money, but I imagine that she comes from a very humble background. I'm going to get onto this shortly, but I imagine that she comes from a very humble background. She doesn't need much. She is not going and getting her nails done all the time. She is not going, well, actually no, she might. I did give her a manicure, but you know, she's not high maintenance. She's got money, and if she wanted to, she could buy the most expensive handbag or the most expensive pair of shoes. But she doesn't, and she's just happy in her little garden. So I wanted to make her a little greenhouse. That's what you're seeing me furnish right now. I ended up placing down a few different planters and then also some standing ones alongside with a flower arranging table. And then outside of the greenhouse, I placed down some more just in case maybe it's like the summer season and she wanted to put them outside, and then maybe when it's winter she wanted to bring them in. One thing that I did in this little section is I've moved over now, but I used a wall that we got from a live edit menu, which is from Cottage Living, and I kind of used it to wrap around the greenhouse just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And even though it's literally just a greenhouse section, I just love that little area of the back garden. But yeah, by default, when you go into a brand new save file, she is unemployed, and I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to make it so she's an unemployed Sim. She just stays at home, cooks, maybe dabbles in a little bit of painting. I did also build a conservatory onto the back garden of the house, which you can see that I've now moved over into the back garden. In the conservatory, it is kind of a little bit more like a greenhouse too. Like it's kind of like an inside attached to the house kind of greenhouse. So I placed down some planters in there. But then I also did to place down a little art easel just because I thought Maybe she likes to dabble in a bit of painting. Maybe she'll get bored of it and drop the paintbrush eventually, but maybe she is trying out something new. Maybe she's trying like a new hobby or something. And so, yeah, I do place down like a little art easel in the conservatory, so she spends her days potentially painting and gardening. Now, I said that she comes from humble backgrounds, and this is the part where I'm kind of like in two minds, because I personally love the idea, but then you might hate it. Like, I don't know what your approach to it is going to be, but basically I've had this idea in my head where I've been given multiple different pre-existing townies makeovers. I kind of noticed that Maura could actually kind of passed off as Eliza Pancakes' sister. Hear me out, right? I've had this idea in my head for the Pancakes family, and when I say I've had this idea in my head, I've literally had this idea in my head for years, maybe like 2-3 years, that the reason why Bob and Eliza Pancakes are together is because Bob Pancakes comes from money. Eventually I will be making Bob's parents' house. In my mind, he's got a sister as well, so I'm going to be making him a sister, but I imagine that his parents have quite a lot of money, and the idea to me of why Bob and Eliza Pancakes got together is because she saw that he came from a family of wealth and she wanted to have some wealth, and so that's why they got together. Sounds savage, but I just thought it'd be really interesting. And then when I was given all of the different Sims makeovers, I've also done the Pancakes family. When I actually build them a new house, you'll see their makeover, but when I was doing their makeovers, I was like, hang on a minute, Eliza kind of looks like Maura, and then I was like, oh, hang on, for a little bit of background, a little bit of like just fun for the save file, why don't I make it so Eliza got with Bob Pancakes because he came from money and she thought that she was going to be having this extravagant lifestyle with, you know, more money than sense, but then in reality Bob's family money didn't really transfer over to him, and his family were kind of like, you've got to go and work for yourself, like, we're not going to give you a handout. And so obviously Eliza's a little bit gutted. Well, on the other hand, her sister, who is very humble, very nice, she's a lovely human being, or sim, but her sister never really focused on that, never really focused on how much money someone's got and how it will benefit her, and now she's the one that's ended up living in a mansion. Now, this is probably the reason why, in my head anyway, because I've really developed this background for just this one thing, which I'm still in two minds of, because you might feel funny, you know, I don't know if you're going to like the idea of Eliza Pancakes somehow having a really rich sister, but I think it just gives her a little bit more substance, you know. She's an angry person. I often see her storming around Willow Creek with the ump, like, I don't know why she's got the ump, but maybe it's because her sister ended up marrying like a millionaire, and she's in Willow Creek in Fondery Cove living on a 30-plus dwelling lot. Maybe that's why she's always got the ump. But yeah, I really like the idea. And then off the back of that, you know how I said that there potentially could be another household member? I was thinking that Eliza has always really struggled with a relationship with her mum, and her mum also happens to be Maura's mum, the mum of this household, and the mum also lives with this family. I just thought it was an idea. Obviously, you could always just use it as a guest bedroom, and I didn't really put too much personal clutter items in that room, just in case you don't like the idea and I should just have it as a guest bedroom. But yeah, I loved the idea of Maura Fyre's being Eliza Pancake's sister, obviously different name because when you get married and stuff, but being Eliza Pancake's sister and Eliza Pancakes having this massive grudge over her sister, who at the end of the day just wants to go in the garden and just, you know, pick thorns up and I don't know what else she does, but she just wants to garden, and her sister just got the ump, and I just thought it was really funny. But yeah, that is the background for the mum of this household. Now moving over to the background for the dad, very much aware by the way that I'm currently coming in and started to decorate one of the first rooms. This room, by the way, if you're curious, this is the little gatehouse at the front. It's what I tried to make part like security area, like I imagine that potentially a guard would sleep in here and, you know, sit by the computer desk and like monitor this house, but then also it's just a handy place for a butler to sleep. But anyway, moving over to the dad of this household, so this is Dominic. I'll have like EA's version and then my version underneath. Also, by the way, if you're wondering what's going on in my cast background, I've got a custom background for Creative Sim just because I've been spending a lot of time in there recently, and I was just getting so bored of looking at just like a plain blue background. So I have like a custom like CC background, but all of the Sims for my save file, they're not wearing custom content, even though the background is custom content. Does that make sense? They're all CC free. All of the stuff that you're seeing on their body is just like in-game DLC items. But either way, this is Dominic. Now Dominic, by default, when you enter a brand new save file, he's in the I think it's like the entertainment career, like basically the musician career from the Sims 4 base game, and he's only at level 4. Now to me, this just does not make any sense, because how are you only level 4? You've got 20 grand in the bank, because that's the amount of money that you have by default when you enter this household, but you live on a 64 by 64 lot. Doesn't really add up. And so I must say, Fo, he is now a very well-established musician. I was personally thinking that he would be a pianist, and he is also a songwriter for not only himself but also for other musicians. I also really liked the idea that a lot of his songs are about his wife, because when you enter a brand new save file and you read this family's like household description, it said that these two just really fancy each other, basically, like they're so in love. And I love the idea that instead of having a family that, because sometimes my safe fault I do make it so there's a little bit of drama just because I think it's funny, but I love the idea of, for this family in particular, yeah, a lot of his songs that he's written is kind of like romance songs, almost like love songs about his wife Maura, and she's just, you know, happy in a little greenhouse. I just love that idea. Just a really cute little family. I do also like the idea of giving him some fame points because of his like well-establishment within the musical like world, and so he will have a few fame points, but I don't imagine he's someone that would, you know, go to press events or anything. He kind of keeps himself to himself. He speaks to fellow musicians and he writes songs in his like little music room, but other than that, he's not like big and fancy, although his house is very big and fancy. I do also, by the way, picture him to rarely leave the house. I imagine that in this house of his, he's got everything that he needs. If he needs a food delivery, he can just order that online. If he needs to go to the gym, he's got one in the garage. If he needs to go here, I feel like this house just makes it so your Sims really don't ever have to leave. And yeah, I imagine where he's so well established in the musical career that he probably doesn't want to go out that much and, you know, kind of like draw attention to himself, because although he is famous, he doesn't like the fame portion of being famous. You know, he doesn't like people recognising him in like Tesco. No, he wouldn't go to Tesco's, but he doesn't like people recognising him in the street, if you get my gist. But either way, moving over, quickly kind of like interrupting myself, you can see that I've now moved in and I've started coming in and decorating the kitchen. This kitchen is massive. I mean, the house is massive, but this kitchen is colossal. I've got a lot of space to work with here. And so when it came around to actually furnishing this kitchen, I knew from the get-go that I was going to have some sort of like double oven situation, because for a kitchen this size, you can't just have like a little tiny little oven in the corner. I wanted there to be quite a grand area for your Sims to do cooking. Off memory, I don't even think either parents have any skills in cooking, and the teenager and the young adult definitely do not have skills in cooking. So I'm not sure who's cooking in here. Maybe it's the butler, or maybe they hire a private chef or something. But for a house this big and as extravagant as what I tried to make it feel, I wanted there to be, yeah, quite a fancy, wealthy looking kitchen. And so I tried to do this kind of like custom stove area. I placed down 2 ovens next to each other, and then on top of it, you can see I placed down some kitchen cabinets, and then I rotated some of them and then merged in a little clock just to make it feel a little bit more elegant in a way. Quickly before I move over and start telling you more in-depth stuff about this kitchen, because I'm going to try and tell you everything as it's kind of on the screen, but one thing that I do want to mention, which is kind of relevant to the kitchen, is Dominic's traits. Because this sim, when you enter a brand new save file, he's got the self-assured trait, music lover, and neat. And you know now in Cash you can create it so Sims have likes and dislikes, and now with the attraction system you can have like turn-ons and turn-offs. I basically made it so Dominic hates mess, he hates clutter, and he's just super neat in every single aspect of his life. And so when it came around to decorating this house, you might notice that I kind of held back a little bit more than what I would typically on the clutter department, if you want to put it that way. Normally with kitchens, I like to fully clutter them up. I want to make them feel proper lived in. But me, in my head, Dominic is like, no, put that in the cupboard, or no, like, you got to clean your mess up. And so the way that I tried to approach the kitchen furnishing, I tried to be so minimal in comparison to what I maybe typically wouldn't be. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still is fully decorated and there is still clutter pieces, but just not as much as what I maybe typically would be. It's only because I was being very mindful of like his traits, and in my mind, he's the breadwinner, he decorates the house, definitely doesn't clean it. That is probably the butler's job, but he decorated the house and he just has very particular ways of how he likes things. And so his family are like, all right, we'll just put it in the cupboard. And so, yeah, it's not as messy as what maybe some of my other houses might be, but I really like it. But either way, in this kitchen, you can see that I decided to add a little circular table in front of them big windows. Them windows in this kitchen, I also did use in a few different areas of the build, but they are from the Castle Estate kit. And then in terms of the counters, the oven, and then the fridge, they are all from the Life and Death EP. Now, I must admit, and this is going to sound really strange, but I actually don't like these kitchen counters. But for this kitchen, I feel like they're the perfect counters for it. Because the wallpaper that I went for in here, I have a lot of like Tudory looking wallpaper, but then also a lot of exposed brick. And this kitchen counter in like the brown marble kind of goes perfectly with the wallpaper. And even though I don't really like the kitchen counters, I feel like once it's all in and it's all together, and I've got like the fridge down, I've got a microwave in the corner, got a lovely little kitchen island. Once that's all in and I've cluttered it a little bit, it kind of made me love them. So I might try and attempt to use these a little bit more, because I literally rarely ever use these kitchen counters. But just off the kitchen, there is also a little tiny laundry room. Must admit, I feel like in terms of placement of this laundry room, for realism purposes, it's probably not that realistic to have a house of this side and then just have your washer and your dryer just next to your fridge. Or not next to your fridge, but you know, in the room next to your fridge. I feel like that's more so in the other side of the house kind of area. But when it came around to figuring out the floor plan, there was honestly just the perfect space. And I just thought, you know what, for convenience, if your Sims are in the kitchen a lot, it might just be handy just to chuck a washing load on. And so, yeah, there is a little tiny utility room. I kept in the furnishing for it. Like I said, I didn't really cut anything out of this build. I really wanted to show you the whole entire process, pretty much from start to finish. The only thing that I really cut out was one little section of a hallway, which I ended up changing anyway. And so if I would have kept it in, would have been a little bit pointless. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which this is one of the many entertainment rooms. Now, going back to Dominic, the dad of this household, he has a few skills in DJing, a few skills in dancing, and he's also in, I believe it's meant to be, it's called the Spin Masters Club. It's basically a club that came in the Get Together expansion pack that just loved to have a drink and a dance. And so, in this house, I made it so where he doesn't leave it that often and he can't just pop to, you know, the club or something, the club can come to him, because there is multiple different rooms with multiple different bars and multiple different radio stations or music stations. I'm not joking. There must be upwards of like 6 or 7 radios in this house, because there is so many. And the thing is as well, recently we've had like 5 new kits come out in like the past 2-3 weeks alone, and they've just got, we've now all of a sudden just got an influx of radio stations. We've got like record players, we've got different looking record players, we've got record players that are a little bit more rusty dusty, and then we've got more like just teenagery. I just feel like we've got so many record players now in the game. And yeah, I placed down a ton of them in this build. It does also make sense where, you know, the dad is a musician and it's kind of how he bought this house. So it does make sense to have a lot of different radio stations, but it is something that I wanted to mention because I did notice the amount that I was putting into this build, but it makes sense. It does make sense. But either way, in here, as you can see, I placed down a 4-tile bar. The one that I've used is from the For Rent expansion pack, and it has got the most beautiful detailing on it, and so I use that in here in combination, I was about to say collaboration, in combination with the chairs that we got from the Cats and Dogs expansion pack, like the tall bar stools. And then on the back section, I placed down like a little pretend bar area. I placed down what I was imagining would be maybe bottles of whiskey or maybe bottles of wine and stuff. And then also in the corner, I placed down like a plant and then also a bookcase. At first, when I was kind of doing the wallpaper in the flooring, I was really hesitant about knowing what to do for that room because it was such an awkward space, because that little room that I just decorated, I've now moved over and started decorating the lounge. We'll talk about this in a second. But that little room where the big bar was, it was such an awkward placement that it couldn't really be the dining room table, because then if someone wants to go into the lounge, they have to walk through the dining room. And that to me just doesn't feel as fancy as what I wanted this house to feel. And so at first I was really confused of what to do with that room. But then once I had the idea to put a bar in, I was like, okay, then I'll just shove, you know, some bookcases in and a little radio station. And then yeah, it was just kind of, at the end, the perfect area for like a little entertainment space. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on into the main lounge room. There is a few dotted about the house, but this is the one that has got the TV. Now, something that I wanted to mention, which is actually so funny, it makes me feel like I have not been in the game for so long. I've been doing towny makeovers, but I haven't really been building anything. But when I was decorating this room, I placed down the fireplace, as you can see, and then I placed down these 3-seater sofas, the ones that I've used from the Life and Death expansion pack. And as I placed them down, I was thinking, oh, it's going to look so ugly when I put a TV on top of that fireplace. And I kid you not, I then realised, well, hang on, actually, no, we have some TV frames in the game that are meant to look like paintings, but when you turn them on, it just turns into a TV. And then honestly, hand on my heart, dog's life, I was thinking, yeah, it'd be really nice though if we had some more like traditional looking ones, because in my head, I was thinking of some CC, traditional looking TV picture frames that I've got. I believe the ones that I've got from Charlie Pancakes, if you're curious. But I was literally thinking it would be so lovely to have like a more traditional picture that transforms into a TV. And lo and behold, I go down the menu and I found one. And we recently got it from one of the kits. It was a Secret Sanctuary kit, which released, I think, like 2 weeks ago. It's actually crazy because even though I've just taken a little bit of a break for, I say 6 weeks, it would be 6 weeks today if I didn't post today, but it's actually 5 weeks. So I haven't posted a video in 5 weeks, and I feel like I've just missed like a year's worth of content, because why all of a sudden have we got 5 kits, massive base game update, also an expansion pack got announced yesterday. Hopefully by the time I'm posting this video, it is still going to be yesterday, because I'm currently doing this voiceover to you and it is 5:30 in the afternoon and still need to export this video and then upload it, and my internet is so bad. So hopefully this goes out on Friday. It'd be really embarrassing, wouldn't it, if it didn't? But I feel like I've just missed so much, and just these past few weeks alone, we've had so much content, and now we've got an expansion pack coming, which is actually really funny. Hang on, I need to tell you about this. Now, I have a bit of an ongoing joke with myself, which if you've watched my channel before, you might have heard me talk about this in a few videos, because I've had to mention it a few times. Well, I say I've mentioned it a few times because it keeps on happening, and at this point it's strange. But basically, I've got this joke that whenever I seem to go away, go on holiday, go on a bit of a trip, or if I'm just not on my computer for a few days, the Sims team either announce an expansion pack or release an expansion pack. Off memory, I think this is the 4th time now it's happened, but basically, yesterday we got an expansion pack trailer. We're getting a new expansion pack. It's called The Sims 4 Businesses and Hobbies expansion. Bit of a mouthful, I'm not going to lie to you, but it comes out March 6th. I am in Austria on March 6th. I am going on a ski holiday. I can't ski, for reference. Everyone keeps on asking me, oh, can you ski then? No, but how else am I meant to learn? Do you know what I mean? I've got to give everything a go once a time. So I am on a ski holiday. I will probably be throwing a tantrum because I ain't got good balance, and I feel like you probably need that. But I'm going to be away once again for another expansion pack launch, and I sound like I'm moaning because I'm going on holiday. I'm very grateful that I'm able to, book to go on a ski holiday. But it's just funny because I actually thought because I got invited to go, right? And I thought, yeah, that's fine. Expansion packs, they normally come out twice a year. They come out normally in June, July, and then also around about the holiday season. So we're talking about November. I was thinking nothing happens in March. I can go on like a little ski trip, probably throw a tantrum for a whole week, but give it a go. Babe, I booked this in September before Life and Death. And now I'm going to miss it. It is actually fine because I'll still be making content on it. I will have early access to the pack. But I like seeing everyone's reactions on Twitter. Like, I love it when we get a new expansion pack and I can just go on Twitter and I can just see everyone posting about it and like their ideas and all like their different things that they've done with the expansion pack. I love it. And why does this keep on happening? It's just so... It's actually not annoying because, again, like I said, I'm very grateful that I'm able to actually go on holiday. And I'm kind of grateful that I can keep on having this reoccurring thing of booking a trip and then an expansion pack getting released. But you actually couldn't write it. I literally did book this before Life and Death came out, and I really thought, March, nothing happens, I'll be fine. Just for fun, I'm also going to mention right now, because in case anything happens, it would be quite funny to reference this video back, but I am also going on a trip in July, right? July 5th, I'm going away for 10 days. And if anything happens in that time, how funny would it be to actually look back on this video? I feel like now that I've said it, nothing's going to happen. But I promise you, go back and watch some of my videos. Or if you watch my videos regularly, you might have heard me say about this a few times. But it just keeps on happening. It's like the Sims team see that I check into Heathrow and like, yeah, she's off. Let's release or announce something. And it's just a funny occurrence. But either way, sorry, that was a complete tangent, but I needed to talk about that because this just keeps on happening. Sorry if this is your first impression of me, but either way, back to the build. As you can see, I just finished up the cellar, which is in the basement. I placed down some bookcases in a little hallway, and one of the bookcases is actually a secret door. And you go down there and there is a wine cellar as well as a secret vault, because I'm thinking the Sims that live in this house, the Fyre's family, they've got money. They want to keep it in a nice secure place, and so they keep it in a vault in their basement. Currently, I'm just coming in and decorating this almost like second seating room, lounge room. This one ain't got a telly, it's just got quite a fancy fireplace. The fireplace in here, it has got a skull on it, which I was a little bit about because that's very Grim Reaper-y, and this is like a happy family. Dad's a musician, mum's a gardener. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not into Grim Reaper and having skulls as decoration. But then also, they do live in a Tudor house, and Tudor is quite old, it's from the Tudor period, and so maybe it was a fireplace that came with the house, and maybe it's got some sort of heritage or something. Maybe it was built back in the day, and yeah, they just kept it and kind of furnished around it. But either way, over here, I've now moved on into another entertainment room, but this one is kind of like a little bit of a music room. Like I said, Dominic, the dad of this household, he's going to be a musician, and I wanted to give him a space where if he wanted to, he could come in here and he could just have a little play about on the piano. Just off to the right of it, that's where I end up having, that little like greenhouse that is kind of attached to the house that I was talking about. That's kind of how you access that room, and I thought that for like gameplay purposes, this would be a really lovely place to have this music room, because I could have had it in different spots of the house, but I'm thinking the mum, she likes to garden. She's going to often be either in her greenhouse outside or in the conservatory. The dad, he's a musician, he's going to be playing the piano. Well, actually, I say he's a musician, he's a pianist, and he's going to be playing the piano a lot. And so I was thinking, well, he does write a lot of love songs about her. How lovely. I'm picturing the scenario, him in here, maybe he's got like a little glass of whiskey or something, or maybe he's got a coffee, I'm not sure what kind of day it is, but he's in here having a drink, having a play on the piano, and he's just looking at his wife who is doing some gardening in the conservatory. I just thought that was really lovely. But in here as well, as you can see, I placed down 2 bookcases, and then either side of them I placed down these walls. I say these walls as like it's a statement piece, but I placed down these walls as kind of like a feature thing to then pop down some photo frames, and then in the middle of it I placed down a bar, and then you would have seen I placed down some wall decorations of bottles and then just sized them down a little bit, just because the wall decoration itself has some lights attached to it and it just wasn't really matching with the rest of the room, and so I did size them down and kind of like shove them into the wall to kind of disguise it. But then over here, as you can see, I've now moved on into the little greenhouse, and to be honest, it's just a little bit of a space for you to do some gardening. To be honest, you don't really need this space because we do have a greenhouse outside as well as some other planters in and around that greenhouse. But where the mum literally is just, like a lady of leisure and she loves gardening, I just really liked the idea of just having this little conservatory right next to her husband's like little music room, and these two like each other. Like, I feel like a lot of times in my storylines for different Sims that can live in my save file, some of the parents don't actually like each other or they're very distant, but these two, no, they're little lovebirds. And I just love the idea of having her room kind of next to his room, if you get what I mean. But it was at this point as well that I realised that we also have the artist studio kit. You can see that I pulled out this bust of what I think is meant to be a man. But I just feel like at this point, we've been getting so many kits recently. Like I've said, we've had like 5 in the past 2-3 weeks. I kind of am debating sitting down and doing a kit-only build. Let me know if you would be interested in that, because I feel like we've had so many kits thrown at us. I don't even know what's in the game anymore. I feel like I need to remember and do a build and just sit down and just only build with kits, because we've got enough of them at this point. You could definitely flesh out a house using only kits, but either way, besides the point, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is Dominic's office. In here, I use this wallpaper, which is from base game, but I often use it when it comes around to doing Tudor style builds. For the most part, for this house, as you would have seen, a lot of the wallpaper was very Tudory interior wallpaper. That's not very descriptive, but basically white walls with a little bit of panelling as like a little bit of detail. But for this room, I had to use this wallpaper. I just love it so much. But the thing is, I called it the Marmite wallpaper because people either love it or they hate it. For a while, I didn't like this wallpaper. And then one day, all of a sudden, I liked it. And now, whenever I do a Tudor style build, I have to use it. And yeah, I decided to use it in this room. So in here, I placed down a computer desk as well as a awards cabinet behind it. Currently over here, I'm just finishing cluttering up them bookcases. They are some of the new ones that we got from the Secret Sanctuary kit. But where Dominic is going to be a musician, or quite a well-established one, hopefully you can see the attempt that I tried to make in his office to kind of show that. I placed down so many different awards and trophies, some that reference music, some that reference, you know, meeting his fans, some that just reference like charity events and stuff, but I placed him down into the bookcase, so when he's like sitting on his little computer, he can just kind of like look up and just see all of his different accomplishments. I will say I am a little bit obsessed with this new bookcase that I use in this room. I use it a ton in this build, but in my defense, in one of the areas that I used it in is where I use the secret door version where your Sims can like secretly open the bookcase and go down to the cellar. So I feel like it was kind of okay to use it there, but I don't know, I'm just obsessed with the bookcase because it's a 2-tile wide one. It's for the most part cluttered up with pre-existing books, but then also if you want to, there's a nice little shelf to add your own personal details, and also it's really nice and slim. Some of the bookcases that we've got in the game are so chunky, but either way, moving over, you can see that I've now moved on into the next room, which is on the exterior, the garage, but on the interior, I tried to make it into some sort of like home gym area. So in their original house, off memory, I believe this family did have a gym, which really does not make any sense. Like, think about it. Now how I said that I put a basketball court down, bit silly because none of the Sims have any skill in fitness, but Dominic, he's got like an 8-pack going on. Why did you have a home gym then if you don't... How does that make sense? Either way, because they originally had a home gym, I didn't want to take that away from them, and so I decided to make this room into, yeah, a home gym. I was debating at one point just making it into a garage space just because we already have the basketball courts in the exterior, so your Sims skill in fitness will still get up over there, but I thought, you know what, I'd rather make it into a room that your Sims can actually interact with rather than it just be a garage with like a fake car and like maybe a woodworking table or something. But in here I placed down 2 treadmills and then 2 like weightlifting machines. I did also try and make kind of like a little yoga meditation area on the other side of the room. I was personally picturing Siobhan, the kind of like it girl of Windenburg. She would only come into the gym and she would only use that, or maybe she would only do 12, 3, 30 on the treadmill. Other than that, she is not lifting weights, she is not doing punching on the boxing bag or anything. But yeah, when I was doing this room, I was personally picturing the only Sims that would actually use the gym would be Dominic and Saron, but maybe the mum also likes to use the gym as well. But it was in their original house and I didn't want to take that away from them, and so yeah, I decided to make them a little gym. But now moving on, as you can see, I've now moved on to the upstairs portion of the build and I've started coming in and decorating the first bedroom, which is Siobhan's bedroom. So side subject, I really hope that I'm saying her name correctly. It's a little bit of a difficult name. I believe it's Irish, but oh yeah, I really hope if that's your name, I'm pronouncing it correctly. But either way, this woman, I love her makeover. Let me show you. So I'll show you a picture of what she originally looked like, and I'll show you a picture of what she now looks like. I am just so obsessed with the way that she turned out. I use like my favourite nails and her favourite jewellery, favourite like skirt and heels and like little blazers set. I just absolutely love the way that her makeover just kind of like changed her completely. I will say I did decide to change her face a bit because by default she's got quite rounded cheeks, which is fine of course, but she looks nothing like the rest of her family. She kind of looks like a just completely different member of Windenburg. She does not look like she came from Maura and Dominic, and so I decided to change her features a little bit just so she kind of matches her mum and her dad a little bit more. And so yeah, if you're wondering if I did change her face, I had to, because it makes no sense. And also the Sims team, they made her cheeks so puffy, bless her heart, and so yeah, I did change that. For the most part with my townie makeovers, I'm not really changing their features because otherwise I'm scared I might do, you know, the joke same face syndrome in The Sims, when like you basically make the same Sim over and over again. I am scared of that, and so for the most part I have been keeping all of the Sims features, but here and there once in a while, if I feel like it's an appropriate time to change it, I will change it. And also eyebrows. I must admit I have been changing eyebrows of Sims because some eyebrows that the Sims team give them, questionable. But either way, in here, as you can see, I'm currently coming in and making over a dream walk-in wardrobe for this girl. Now, like I said, she is going to be a bit of an it girl, the it girl of Windenburg in my save file, which I think the Sims team was initially trying to give her that kind of persona anyway. She's a member of the group called the Paragons, I hope that's how you say it, but it's basically the most popular group in the world of Windenburg, and so, you know, she's meant to have some sort of like it girl status. But for my save file, I'm gonna kind of amplify it a little bit because her dad is a famous musician. I'm going to make her a little bit of a nepo baby, but not like, she's not a photographer, she's not a, I don't know, actress or a singer or anything. She's someone that is in the corporate world and she's really into marketing. Now, I imagine that she got a job at this marketing agency, which is probably one of the hardest ones to get a job at, and the way that she got her foot in the door is just because her dad was mates with the owner or something. And so instead of being at level 2, which when you enter a brand new save, she's meant to be level 2 of a business career, I'm going to make her like level 6 potentially. Now, where she's a member of the Paragons and she's meant to be like the leader of this group, I'm still going to make it so she is the leader, but then I think going hand in hand with that, it'll be quite nice if she has some sort of social media following. I think I'll probably end up giving her like 1 fame point or something, because I imagine she's the kind of sim that would do like get ready with me corporate edition. You know, have you seen them TikToks where people get like dressed up and they show you what they're wearing to work, and it's always really fashionable outfits? Imagine that's her, and I imagine that she's earned quite a big following off the back of that. But you know, I imagine she's got somewhat of a social media presence, and I can just picture her every single morning when she gets ready for work. She kind of does these like get ready with me videos in her dressing room, shows people what she's gonna wear, how she's gonna do her hair, you know, what makeup she's wearing. And yeah, I really love this idea for her. But in here, as you can see, I tried to make kind of like a custom, why did I say like custom then? Custom wardrobe piece. So I use these shelves, which are from the Crystal Creations stuff pack. They're meant to be a shelf that you put jewellery in, but I sized them up. For reference, if you want to do it yourself, I sized them up by 1.4 using the tool mod, but I sized them up and then found some clothes rails, basically sized them down, pop the clothes onto them, and then that way, where I'd sized down the objects that the clothes can clip to and kind of like disguised it in kind of like the detailing of the shelf, you couldn't see it, and it looks like the clothes are hanging from that big Crystal Creation shelf. I will say as well, I don't know if you saw it, but I did also get a post that is from the My Wedding Stories game pack, but I basically rotated the post, sized it down a little bit, and then moved it into the wardrobe pieces to make it look like the clothes just weren't like dangling on the hangers in the air, because I wanted it to be realistic. And so yeah, I did try and make it look like there was a pole that the clothes are hanging off. But also in that dressing room as well, I placed down a little makeup vanity, as well as a similar thing with kind of like the walk-in wardrobe effect with the same shelving unit, but I used shoes instead of clothes, because I imagine she's got quite a nice shoe collection. But either way, over here, as you can see, I'm currently coming in and just decorating her little like office area. I wanted to make sure that she had somewhere to use a computer, potentially use a bookcase where she is in the business career. You can see as well in the bookcase, I did again try and reference the horse riding thing that I said that she would have been into when she was younger. I placed down, I think, 1 trophy there. I think I might have also placed down another trophy in another space in her bedroom, but I might be getting it confused with a cheerleading trophy, because I know I did also place down one of them, because again, I wanted to reference things that she's not currently doing, but you know, when she was younger, she liked cheerleading and she also liked horse riding. But also in here as well, as you can see, I decided to go for the bed that we got from the Modern Luxe kit, but then behind it, I sized up one of the new side tables that we got from the Refined Living kit that came out, the one that Sim created. Lovely headboard. No, it's not a headboard. I made it look like a headboard. Lovely sideboard. It's the one over here as well. I'm going to be using this little sideboard so much in so many different future videos. It's just so good. And I love these new CC creator kits. Like when a CC creator makes a kit. Like we've only had a handful of them so far. We had what was the first one called? It was like with Marshino's son, Cozy Kitsch Kit. That was lovely. Love the sofa set. We now got this new one with Sim where they did the Refined Living set. used it so much in this build. All the little like sculptures and just like bowls and just random knickknacks. That's from that set. I love it. But then we also have like some collaborative kits. Like Lil Simsy recently came out with a kit. She didn't make this stuff from my understanding. She just kind of like collaborated in the ideas. But then also we've got another few like creator made kits for Cass. We've got the Sweet Slumber Party creator kit, I believe, is like pajama stuff. That was by Tronica. And then also recently we got another one by Madeline, I believe is how you say it. Honestly, the creator kits are some of the best ones that we've got in the game, and it's so funny because the Sims team didn't even make them. Do you know what? Because of this, actually, I'm going to do a giveaway. So thank you to the EA Creator Network for providing me with these codes to give away to you guys. But if you fancy winning one of the 5 most recent kits that have just came out, comment down below which one you'd want to win. The ones that I'm giving away codes for are the Secret Sanctuary kit, the Casanova Cave kit, the Comfy Gamer kit, I'm still going, then also the Madeline's Business Chic kit, and then also Refined Living Room kit. If you want to win a game code for one of them 5, all you got to do is comment down below which one you want to win, and then, I don't know, maybe pop like an emoji next to it, maybe like an art or a bit of food. And then also send me a message on Instagram. So then if you do win, I can then, you know, tell you that you've won and give you your game code. My Instagram is Jessicapie and then the letters YT. I do also actually have a second Instagram, which I don't think I've ever plugged before, but I have a personal Instagram. Yeah, that's just called Little Life of Jessica. You don't have to give that a follow if you if you want to enter this giveaway. I'm just kind of plugging this because I actually do want to start using Instagram more than what I do. Instagram makes me nervous sometimes. I don't know about you, but I get really shy posting Instagram. But I'm going to try and make it a priority to actually post my pictures rather than keeping them in my camera roll. But yeah, either way, if you want to enter this giveaway, just comment down below one of them 5 kit names in the comment section, along with a random emoji, and then also send me a message on Instagram. But yeah, thank you to EA on the Creator Network for providing me with these game codes to give away to you lovely lot. But I probably should have mentioned this, shouldn't I, at the start of the video? But at the end of the day, if you've sat here and you've listened to me yap about The Sims and this video and this storyline for The Sims that I imagine living here for an hour and 5 minutes, you deserve to know that I'm doing a giveaway, you know? But either way, as you can see, I'm just going in now and just finishing up the only bathroom that I show in this house. Like I said, there ends up being like 7.5 bathrooms, I think, off memory. But there is so many, I can't show you the furnishing for all of them. And so I only showed you the furnishing for one of them. The one that I showed you is Siobhan's ensuite bathroom. It is by far the biggest bathroom in this house. But where it was the biggest one and it had the most stuff in it, if I was going to show you one bathroom, I'd rather show you that one. But yeah, in there, I've got like a separate little shower and then a bathtub, got a lovely little vanity area, you know, put your toothbrush and stuff, and then also a little toilet. Did also place down a fireplace in that bathroom, and I must admit, it was a little bit irritating because I placed down the fireplace in an area where there isn't a chimney on the exterior, and typically I like to try and place down like fireplaces where there is going to be a chimney. It was kind of on the opposite wall, but just for gameplay purposes, it made more sense for the vanity to be where the chimney was in the exterior, and then just kind of like do a little switch around. But over here, as you can see, I've actually now moved on into what looks to be a hallway, but this is actually a bedroom. So for all the different, I'm gonna say main Sims, and when I say main Sims, I'm referencing Maura, Siobhan, Morgan and Dominic. For all of the pre-existing like Sims that are already in this household by default, they kind of have a little bit of a hallway going into their bedroom. You would have seen Siobhan's, that one that you just saw me decorate with kind of like a little walk-in wardrobe and a side table. This is the parents' bedroom. You can see that I'm now coming in and just figuring out how I'm going to decorate this room. Initially, I was going to go for this bed that we got from the Life and Death EP. It is very Tudor, and it does kind of match with the vibe of the house, but I just didn't like the print on like the bedspread. It was Tudor and it would have gone, but I was thinking it needs to be a little bit more grand than that, and so you just saw I changed the bed to be this one that we got from, I think it was the For Rent expansion pack. It's kind of like a more formal 4-poster bed, got some lovely little curtains draped over it, that one instead. And then also in this bedroom, I placed down a little chest of drawers unit, and then this painting behind it, this one of these 2 Sims dancing, I saw at the very start of the build, and I thought to myself, I'm going to pop that down into Dominic's home office because it makes sense. He's, you know, he's a pianist, he loves music. It's a picture of 2 Sims dancing. Perfect. when I decorated his office, I completely forgot about it. But then when I came in and started decorating this room, which is his and Maura's bedroom, I thought, I'm going to place it down in here. And so, yeah, I placed down a little painting of two Sims dancing in that bedroom as well. Now I've moved over into what could be a guest bedroom, but I'm personally thinking if I do go with the whole Eliza Pancakes is Maura's sister and Maura's mum, who is also Eliza's mum, lives in this house with them, this would be her bedroom. Like I said, I'm just in two minds about doing it. I could always just make it so it would just be Maura's mum regardless of if there's any relation to Eliza Pancakes, but in my head I just feel like it will be such a good storyline for Eliza and Maura to actually just be sisters. And Eliza's always tried to impress her mum. She come from very humble beginnings, probably didn't have a lot of money growing up. She got Bob Pancakes because his family had a lot of money. She thought that she would get a lot of money. Bob's not doing so well in his culinary career. And sorry, we're like an hour and 10 minutes in now. I've just been yapping, but I just love the idea of Maura being Eliza Pancake's sister. They do look alike. Like I said, I've been doing townie makeovers, and when I was doing them I was like, hang on, they've got some similar features. They also have got the same colour hair, so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, let me know if you think that's a good idea. And then Maura could have a really close, wholesome relationship with her mum, and Eliza could have a strained relationship. And also Eliza and Maura, the mum of this household, they would definitely have a difficult relationship and probably have not even a friendship, a negative relationship towards each other, because Maura on her side, she's good as anything, but Eliza's just always got the ump, isn't she? But either way, moving on, getting back to the build. As you can see, I've now come in and started decorating another hallway, but this is the hallway that kind of leads towards Morgan, the teenager's bedroom. So currently leading into this room, I've just got a double archway and not a set of double doors, but shortly you'll see I decided to change out that archway and basically just made this into a bit of a entertainment space, but more in particular for the teenager of his household, which I know is a lot. This is a lot, but at the end of the day, her dad's got a lot of money and there was a space for it. Like I said, I have decided to change one of her traits, so she's going to be a party animal, because Morgan, if you've never seen her before, if you ever watch the Get Together expansion pack trailer, there is a sim and she's got ginger hair and she's partying. She ends up getting with the DJ. That's actually Morgan. But in the trailer, they made her a young adult, but then in the game, she's just now a teenager. They aged her down or something. But she, in my head, is a massive party animal, and she's meant to be rebellious. But if you actually look at her and her values, she has got a few skills in mischief, I will say that. But she's actually quite a good sim. I feel like the persona that the Sims team trying to give her was that she looks like a rebel. But then once you get to know her, you actually realise that she's not, and she's got the good trait. Which, like I said, I did decide to take away her good trait and replace it with party animal. Not because I don't think that she's a good sim. She's actually really nice, but I just think party animal suits her better, just because she was in the Get Together trailer literally partying. She is a member of a club with another group of teenagers that do like mischief, but I always picture to be, again, just party animals. I just always imagine them sitting out in a field somewhere with a few cans or something. But either way, besides the point, if I haven't shown you a picture of Morgan already, I'll pop it on the screen, but I am so obsessed with the way that she turned out in the makeover. I gave her this red kind of see-through top, and then I kept the shorts, and then I gave her these ripped tights and gave her a little scrunchie on her round, and I put some feathers in her round. I'm absolutely obsessed with the way that she turned out. I love her makeover so much. But this is her bedroom. I will say it's definitely not as big as her older sister's bedroom, but I like the idea of this being her bedroom, because then she has a balcony, and if she wants to, she could sneak out of an evening. I think that even though I've taken away her good trait from her, she still is at heart quite a good sim, so I imagine that she doesn't even sneak out. And to be honest, the idea that I've got for her mum and dad in my head, they're so laid back. Her dad is a little bit of a party animal himself. He's got skills in DJing and then also, I think, dancing as well, off memory. But yeah, I just feel like her mum and dad are so laid back that they don't care if she goes out to a party at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday evening or something. But yeah, I just liked having the option to have your sim sneak out, because at the end of the day, you might not even have this family live in this house. You can download this house and have a completely different family with completely different sims living here, and maybe you might find it quite handy to have a little sneak out route for a potentially rebellious teenager. But other than that, I'm pretty much going to go around this room, finish it off with some final details, and that is pretty much it. So anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. As always, you can download this build via the gallery. My gallery ID is JessicapieYT, or you can just search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.